Hey everybody, Damon here from Crowdfundr, and in this video we're going to talk a bit about why we think that Crowdfundr is the right platform for you to run your next crowdfunding project. So let's talk a bit about why you would want to use Crowdfundr, and essentially it's because you get to control your branding, you get to control your data, and you get to control your destiny with Crowdfundr. So what do we mean by that? Well, as far as branding goes, you are able to add the touches to your campaign page where we have your organization's logo, your publishing company's logo, your representation of how you want your community to see you, whatever your branding is, you can have that in Crowdfundr. Especially as an organization, you may want to have that level of consistency so that when your backers come to your campaign pages, they see your organization's logo first. We can set things up like having links to reference back to your website right next to your logo on the top of the page. So there's a number of different ways you can fine tune the page itself so that your backers get that familiar experience that you may want them to have. Next up is your data. Your data is your data. It's yours. We don't own it. We don't, use it for our benefits. We have it there for you to use between your campaigns as you launch a second one, a third one, or you may simply want to export your data. We don't restrict when or how much of your data you can export at any of our pricing plans. All the data that you accumulate over time in our platform through your backers, through new backers, and engaging existing one, all of that is available to you whenever you need it. It's just a matter of going into your transactions view and exporting the data in a spreadsheet. We make it really easy to do that. And you really get to control your own destiny in your crowdfunding project. So we'll talk a bit about how this ties into a few of the other things in this video. But at the end of the day, by having the page look a little like your brand and by having your data available to you when you want it and setting it up in a way, or your campaign in a way that the pricing structure works for you and your payment structure works for you, it allows you to be a lot more in control of your crowdfunding campaign. So as you go through your campaign, you may not have to stress over at least some of the logistical stuff as much because you know that all of this is going to work in your favor, and you can focus on your marketing, you can focus on getting the word out there and getting your backers to support your project. So let's quickly first talk about the plans that we offer, and we're going to focus on two plans. Now, you can always check this out on our website. I'll put a link to on this video here so you can take a look at it. But the first plan I want to talk about is simply free. And as the name implies, it is a free plan. So we don't charge you anything on our platform to use our product. Now, one thing to mention is that we are not a payment processor. So that means you will have to connect a Stripe or PayPal account to the platform when you set up your organization or your individual campaign. And as people go and back your projects, you'll have a payment processor fee on that. So whatever rate you're getting with PayPal or Stripe, that's the rate you get. We don't get a cut of that. So that's the Simply Free plan. And the way we make our money on that is we ask your backers if they would be willing to leave us an optional top up. So it is completely optional. We don't make it tricky to opt out. We don't hide the links. It's pretty in front and center so that when your backers are there and if they don't want to chip in, they don't have to. They can opt out and we don't make it difficult for them to do so. But it does work, and by making this optional top up available to your backers, it allows us to keep this option available to you where we don't charge you to run the campaign on our platform. So it works well. Everybody kind of wins a little bit, and your backers have the option of supporting us or not. But if you end up running a campaign with minimal support to us, that's okay. We don't come after you and ask for you to give us, a bit of your earnings because we didn't get enough people backing us on this top up. And that's okay. Now, our next plan is what we call the nearly free plan, and it's different in the sense that we do charge a 5% platform fee on it. But here's the interesting thing about that. What we have noticed over the years running projects on Crowdfundr as well as the sister platforms is that generally speaking, this plan ends up being much cheaper for you, the campaign organizer, the individuals or the groups running this campaign. So this is how it works. When your backers go through the transaction process, when they go to support your project or buy one of your products you're selling to them, basically, instead of us asking them if they'll leave us an optional tip, we ask, hey, would you like to help this organization or this individual cover their fees? So the 5% platform fee that we charge on this particular plan, plus any Stripe or PayPal fees that may incur. So let's say you have a 3.5% PayPal fee or Stripe fee, and we've got a 5% platform fee with us, so that's 8.5%. So if somebody's buying something from you for, let's say, $100, let's keep the math simple, and they are asked, do you want to chip in an extra $8.50 to help cover the fees for this particular cause? Now, for a lot of people, 850 is not that big of a deal if they're already chipping in $100, especially if they are a supporter of yours, if they like the work that you do, and they've been a follower of yours for some time, or there might be you might be a new person or a new organization breaking out, and they really like what they're doing, what you're doing, and work you're putting out, so they're willing to chip in a bit more. More people are inclined to do that, meaning on that transaction that if you have one individual that says, "Sure, I'll cover your fees," now effectively your fees on that transaction just became $0, right? So 0%. So now if enough people are doing that, the average may start to come down to be less than what your payment processor fee would be on the Simply Free plan. So theoretically, it can get a little lower than the Simply Free plan, making it a little bit cheaper for you. And again, we've seen that happen time and time again, to the point where oftentimes the people that try it out will end up sticking with the nearly free because math just works out in their favor. Here's where things get good. You don't have to commit to one or the other today. So if you want to go ahead and launch a campaign, but you want to do it on Simply Free because that's the quickest, easiest, and most risk-free way for you to go and get your toes in the water, great, go ahead and do that. Awesome. We're happy to support you in that. You may come back to us in a week and say, hey, I watched that video with Damon and he made a compelling argument about maybe getting my fees a little lower. Can we try it? Sure. Switch your campaign in the middle of your campaign from Simply Free to nearly free. You can just do it yourself on the platform. You don't even need to reach out to us, and see what the metrics look like. We actually break it down for you in our analytics view. We show you what your fees were for the duration of time that you were running it on Simply Free. And then if you switch to nearly free, we'll show you what the fees are in the nearly free. And you can actually compare them side by side. And that's great because you can then get, concrete data that says, yep, it's cheaper to do nearly free and therefore I'm going to stick with it. Or in the small chance that you say, you know what, it's not really cheaper and it's not working out for me, great. Let's go back to nearly free, Simply Free on that one. We don't lock you in. We don't force you to stick with the plan for the entirety of your campaign. The idea is to help you get the lowest possible fees for your campaign. And sometimes that just means experimenting a little bit. So our goal is to help you get to that point. So those are two pricing plans of ours. And again, like I said, we are pretty fluid with them so that you're able to jump between them. You can run multiple campaigns if you would like and have one be on nearly free, the other on Simply Free, and have them run simultaneously. We're all about giving you the flexibility and freedom to figure out what works best for you. So next up, let's talk about the two types of campaigns you can run on our platform. And you might be a little familiar with this if you've run a crowdfunding campaign before, but basically what we call them is our keep it all campaigns or the all or nothing campaign. So let's start with the all or nothing first, and we'll talk about both of them. Now, the all or nothing campaign essentially says that, hey, I need to raise X amount of dollars or X amount of pounds or whatever your currency is for this particular project that I'd like to work on, but I'm not going to be able to even touch this project unless I'm guaranteed to have the funding in entirety, the entire fund. So basically, what we're saying is, okay, so people are going to pledge to your campaign, and when you reach your goal of enough people pledging to your campaign, then all the funds get withdrawn from your backers, and you end up getting all of it into your Stripe or PayPal account. So the nice thing about that is you're not collecting funds, and if you don't reach your goal, you don't have to worry about refunding people because you're not going to do the project that you said. And we don't want to get into that situation because then you end up having fees on the refund and it could put you in the negative. Let's avoid that. So we do have the all or nothing in that particular scenario. However, we also have the keep it all. So you may be in the situation where you say, well, I'm definitely going to do this project. However, I'll take the funding as it comes in. I'm hoping I can reach my goal, but I can self-fund a little bit, or I might extend my deadline if I don't get it in a month, maybe 2 months, 3 months, but I want to get the money so I can get working on this project as soon as possible. This is where your keep it all comes in, because every time somebody backs your project and gives you whatever amount of money they can afford to give you in that moment, you get that right away. So that's the keep it all. It doesn't mean that you have to get to your goal to get the money. And this takes us a bit into the concept of we don't touch your money, meaning that if somebody makes a donation to you, especially in the Keep It All plan, it goes straight from their payment method, PayPal, credit card, whatever they choose, directly into your Stripe or PayPal account. So it doesn't go to us. We don't hold your money. You don't have to finish your campaign and then have a holding period after before we release the funds. It goes to you right away. Of course, with the all or nothing, we don't actually collect anything until you've reached 100% of your goal. But even then, once you reach your goal, as the cards get charged from your backers and your pledgers, it goes directly to you. We don't touch any of that. So again, you control your destiny. We were talking about this earlier. Is that if you want to start working on it when you get 25% of your goal, there, great. Like, do the first phase of your project. Don't wait on us to have to release the funds for you. It's there for you to grab as soon as you're able to work with it. Okay, so we've been talking about payments, so let's stick with that, and we'll talk about Stripe and PayPal again. And I mentioned both of them without spending too much time. We do integrate with both. Now, PayPal works well for folks that have PayPal already set up, and they may have their banking stuff set up with PayPal, and that's great. It works for them. Sometimes it's also easier to set it up on your end, but not necessarily true, because we've seen people use both, and it works great on both. So with Stripe, the benefit is that you people just get a little credit card box on the donation page, and with PayPal there's a very similar process. They both work excellent. So there's no really wrong or better alternative here. You can absolutely use one or the other, but we do make both available to you. So all you would do is you would set up your Stripe or PayPal account within those individual platforms, and then once you got that set up, you come into Crowdfundr, and in Crowdfundr you're able to just integrate with one and drop in your credentials. We'll make that connection and you're good to go. So then moving forward, as you start to get donations or backers rather that come and support your projects, it goes directly into that Stripe or PayPal account. So pretty straightforward, pretty simple. You don't have to go through us to set up the account. You would just set it up yourself. And again, we don't get a cut of that payment processing fee per se. But then again, with the nearly free, people can opt out to help you cover your platform fee on that one. Okay, so a couple other things to really quickly talk about. One is the flexibility of your campaigns, meaning that we've got a few different types of layouts that you can have on your organization and your campaign beyond, meaning that you can have a traditional standard crowdfunding layout. So that's the common one that you may be used to seeing at this point. You have your donation bar, your contribution button, your progress bar, your story, your rewards and perks and so forth. And of course you can do that. That's probably the most popular layout that we have on our platform, and it's the most used one as well. We also have a storefront layout, meaning that if you got a whole bunch of your products ready to go already, and they're just sitting around in your warehouse, your home, your storage units, wherever they may be, you can essentially just create a storefront where people can go and buy your products. You can set quantities on them. You can make sure that you don't oversell by setting those quantities, so that we'll make it out of stock on our end if the right amount of people buy that product from you. But the layout looks a little different. People are not backing your project per se, but they're buying. It's more of a shopping experience. So they're buying a product or a combination of products from you, and they can pick and choose their combination of products. You don't have to bundle them up. You can let people create their own bundles essentially. So that's what we mean by a storefront layout. So really cool way to look at it. We're happy to talk to you more about this if you've got questions on it. We've got documentation on it as well. But I highly encourage you to check out the different campaign types we have, because we've got some creative ways to do these things, and we think it'll be beneficial for you to take a look at them as well, because it may allow you to do something a little differently. And yeah, it could be a really interesting approach to how you raise funds for your creative projects. And then the last thing we'll leave you with in this video, at least, is that there are no formal approval processes. So what we mean by that is, as you launch a campaign, you don't have to wait for us to, pre-approve anything before you can get going. We may take a look at a few here and there as spot checking, just to make sure that we're keeping the fraud campaigns on the lower end on our platform as little as possible. But generally speaking, you can just go ahead and get started. And for most of you, it'll just launch when you're ready to go, assuming you've connected your banking or your PayPal and Stripe on the platform, and you're good to go. So yeah, we recommend you check this stuff out. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's just a matter of getting going, getting your project launched, and raising the money. So highly recommend you check out Crowdfundr and take a look at the different things we can do. Check out our other two videos as well that we're going to be talking about how to use our platform and some strategic stuff as well. So make sure you watch those other two videos we've kind of released at the same time as this one. But I really hope you all go onto our website, crowdfundr.com, click on get started free, and just get going. The best thing is you don't need to connect your PayPal and Stripe right away. You can skip that for the time being if you just want to go and poke around in the platform, see how it works, what it looks like for you, and if you feel like, hey, this is the one, this is the one for me, this platform is the one for me, go ahead and put in your Stripe and PayPal information then, get your page ready and launch. And yeah, hopefully we'll see all of your campaigns on our platform, and we'd love to help you out in any ways that we can. So make sure you reach out to us if you have any questions. Um, and yeah, best of luck to you all. Check out those other two videos as well.